check, 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 check. Hey, back in business. Whew, man. All right, hang on one second. I'm coming back. There we go, there we go. Hey, all right. Let's get this sorted out. Boom. Hello again. Um, I like to prepare for things. I like to be ready. I like to ready to roll. And today I got ready a little too early, and there were no battery warnings when I turned everything on a few minutes ago. And suddenly, literally, I guess, as I clicked go live, the batteries went dead in my microphone. So this morning I am going to try to, well, I'm not going to try, I'm going to show you, we're going to go over some stuff for our raster imaging class. If you have any questions, I'm going to flip back and forth to YouTube here if anybody ends up watching. And I'll try to answer your questions if you send them in. Right now, I want to talk about here in our Blackboard class. Funny, I got to work on the the rotation. I'm reversed here. Anyway, in our Blackboard class, raster, we roll on down to oh my God, y'all. Never mind. I got discombobulated by my microphone situation. The first thing I want to show you is adobe.com. There have been some reports, of different troubles that we have logging in, and I just wanted to make sure that we all knew how to go through this process. If you want to sign in to Creative Cloud, which is what Adobe uses to distribute their software and updates and all of that, and it is what you have free access to with your Atlanta Tech student email, you can go to adobe.com and click sign in up here at the top right, enter your Atlanta Tech email address. I'm not going to enter my password on a live stream. I'm just not going to do it. Uh-oh. All right. Anyway, right? Okay, so adobe.com. Enter your password, click continue, and you'll get something like this probably. If you haven't logged in yet with your ATC email, it'll ask you if you want to join the team, the Atlanta Technical College team. Britt Petra is the name that you're looking for. Click yes, click join team. Otherwise, Adobe will want to charge you for your account. Click join the ATC team. I'm going to skip this. I don't need to do this. And here we are, right? This is adobe.com. This is where I can come and see all of the online tools and tutorials and apps and all that stuff. Over here on the right-hand side, I've got my files I've worked on in the Adobe Cloud over however long. And here on the left-hand side, I've got apps. This is where you come, this is where you would come to see any new apps you might want to download or update, through your whole Adobe, application inventory. On a Macintosh, you've got the little Adobe Creative Cloud doodad up here. It says Creative Cloud, and I'm told that on a PC it's down here in the tray, down on the bottom on a PC. And right, so now I have access to all of these apps here. Photoshop is the one that I want. You know, if I didn't have it downloaded after signing into Adobe, I would click download and then install it on my computer, like that. And like I said, up here is actually the Adobe Creative Cloud toolbar icon, and this is, so it's opened the Creative Cloud application for me now, and I've got all the same kind of stuff, right? Same setup, apps, files, home. This is the Creative Cloud application that lives on my desktop. So I'm going to close out of that. You know, since I'm here, I'm just going to click open in desktop and have my Photoshop open. There we go. Let me get me out of here. Cut. There. All right. You know, when y'all are using Photoshop, I want to point out, if you click up here on the top left on a Macintosh, I think on a PC it's under the Help menu. But Photoshop 2026 is what we want to be working in, and that's version 27.3.1 when I'm talking to you on February 19th, 2026. You know, Creative Cloud just said I was up to date. It would have told me if I had to do an update. Also want to point out to you, on a Macintosh, under this Apple menu up here, I can click on About This Mac. Right here, this number says memory. It's really important. I have 24 gigabytes of memory on that computer, on this computer. That is not the hard drive space. That's not how many files I can put on the computer. This is working memory, or RAM. It's the memory that the computer uses to run your graphic intensive applications. I think Adobe says 8 gigabytes is the minimum to run Photoshop. You know, I'm going to tell you it's going to be 16 to be usable, really. You can run it on 8 gigs, but you know, I'm just going to suspect that it's going to run slow for you. 16 is going to make you a lot happier. If you're aggravated with Photoshop, this is probably the first place that you want to look. See how much memory or application memory or RAM that your computer has. And I'm on a M2 MacBook Air from 2022. So, you know, my computer, I got 24 gigs of RAM in order to be a little bit future-proof when I bought this computer in 2023. And 3 years later, it's working fine for me. I don't have any need to upgrade yet. So I'll click X to shut out of that. Now, I'll talk about Raster Imaging class. What do I want to say? In our Raster Imaging class on Blackboard, what I'm going to work on today is this actually Unit 5. I want to walk you through this tutorial, Photoshop quick fixes. I recognize the due date is passed. If the due date has passed, turn in your work. It's okay. Turn it in. Something is better than nothing. So I'll click on this Photoshop quick fixes here. Uh-oh, I'm in the student view. This is my dummy student. And that student hasn't turned in my persona student as an instructor hasn't turned in any work. So yeah, you all should avoid this. If you see this, go ahead and click View Instructions, and here are the files that you can download. In Blackboard, to download these files, you just click on the little 3 dots up here and click Download. It'll drop on down to your computer. I have another tutorial going through the same tutorial. I have another demo video going through the same tutorial on YouTube from last year, but I'm going to walk through it again today, you know, to maybe update and you know, put something new out there and maybe help you all with something more specific. So here are all the instructions again, and it's also in this PDF document, which I will now minimize this screen, minimize my other browser. I got Photoshop open, and I got that PDF of this quick fixes file open. All right, so what's it say to do? Download the tutorial files, right? I just did that. Here they are. I've got this Redeye start file, egret start, and then files for panorama was another one over there in the Chrome browser you can download from Blackboard. Let's see. I'm going to open Photoshop now. Well, I've already opened Photoshop, right? I opened Photoshop with the Adobe Creative Cloud. So I click on Photoshop. Here we go. I suggest that you always click the green button to maximize your Photoshop desktop. You know, always zoom in, always be able to see your work. It makes it easier. Now let's see what's it want us to do. Don't worry about using Adobe Bridge. We talked briefly about workspaces at the beginning of the term. I'm going to put myself back on screen here for my vanity. There we go. We talked about workspaces at the beginning of the term, and I just wanted to point that out again. Window, arrange, under Window, Workspace. I like to use the Essentials workspace. It's how the tools are arranged. And if you drag them out of place, you can always click Reset Essentials. And here we go. This is how I like to work. There are other workspaces depending on what you're doing. Motion if you're doing animation, painting for mixer brush stuff. Graphics and web would be your vector tools in Photoshop. This one is named photography, but what it does is it prioritizes these adjustment layers. And I prefer to work with the Essentials workspace because I like the properties here. And the adjustments are right here, just under another tab. So, there are other differences, but that's the main one that I notice, and I like to work this way. So, Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. If the Photoshop the Photoshop desktop ever doesn't look like you expect it to, Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. So let's start on the Redeye. Right here, we're going to open Redeye Start, click on the Redeye tool, and then correct it. File, open. So what's happened now is it's opened my files in Adobe's Creative Cloud. Right, your files. These are all just old files I've worked on at one time or another. What I want to do, I know these files are on my desktop, so I'm going to click on your computer. Oops, I'm in the way. Let me get out of the way here. Hang on. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at a little bitty thumbnail here, and it looked like I was over the on your computer, but I'm not actually. Anyway, on your computer. Right, so these are files that are in the Adobe Cloud now. These are not files that are on my computer. Right, I might even search for Redeye. It's not found. Oh no, where'd it go? Right here, on your computer. There we go. Now I see my computer. And there's Redeye. Now I see my computer, and there's Redeye. Right, it's on my desktop, so I'll go ahead and click Redeye. All this is fine. Haha, wrong file. Anyway, that's not the one I downloaded, but we can do it to this one too. I can press Command plus to zoom in, which I strongly suggest you do, or use the zoom tool. It lets us see what we're working on, right? And then the Redeye tool is here, I believe, under the healing brushes. Right? Remember, we've got our move tool and some selection tools, cropping, eyedropper, and then the healing tools right here. So I click and hold on that to get the options to drop down and click Redeye tool. And then I'll just kind of click and drag, and then click and drag some more. Maybe click and drag some more on this one. I don't care much for this one. I think there are some other things I would do in this tool. Um, Up here, the red eye tool options up here, pupil size and darken amount 50. Let's try something. I'm going to click on my history panel, which is also here in my essentials arrangement. I click the red eye tool a bunch, so I'm just going to go back to where I opened it. And let's try something like 20% here. Right, her pupils are really large because it's a really dark room, right? I press Command 0 to bring it all on screen, right? This is a flash. Somebody popped a flash here in this dark room, and her eyes had been dilated for darkness, and so her pupils are really big. This specific image is probably going to need something more than a red eye tool to really fix this. But it's a good start. Way better than last time, right? I think there are additional things I would do to fix this image, but there you go, right? I just clicked the red eye tool and changed her red eyes. I'm not going to save this file. I'm going to click File, Open, and show you the one from the exercise. Red eye start. Right, here we go. This woman, right, the red in her eyes is way less of it. I still have the red eye tool selected over here. I've zoomed in on her face so I can see what I'm doing, and I'll just kind of do that and that. That didn't go anywhere. I don't think it wants to go above the catch light in her eye right there. But we did it. I don't think I like any of that though. Let's try darken amount. 80%, right? We had 50, so now let's try 80. Isn't that interesting? Well, I don't think we like 80. Let's see. What if we tried 80% pupil size? Wow. Uh-oh. It says it really doesn't like that. Yeah, right. So mess with the mess with these settings to see what you might be able to get. Oh, 4%. Whoops. Kind of weird. Let's change that darken amount, right? All right. Yeah, I have to change the size and amount. I might even have instructions in here how to do it. Nope, I just told you to try it out. Cool. Great. Right, so we've kind of fixed that up. That's strange. What an aggravating tool. And I want to show you something. Right, let's say I did that one eye. I'm going to come back and leave it like this. The way that I would do this, there's the red eye tool. That's a great way. If it works, that's great. I'm going to click on the, over down here at the bottom of the adjustment layer, the black and white cookie, and I'm going to get on hue saturation, get a hue saturation adjustment layer. I'm going to click on the mask thumbnail, which is this, everything is white here, meaning everything is revealed. So any change I make is in the whole image, right? But if I use the mask, I'm trying to find where it says invert. Command I is the keyboard command, but I never click on it up here in the options. It's image adjust, right? Image adjust, invert, there it is. So right, I've now hidden everything on that mask layer. You can also press Command I to flip it from white to black. Remember, black conceals and white reveals in a Photoshop mask layer. So what I want to do, I want to see a change I want to make to this eyeball. I'll click on my brush tool here on the left, make sure my foreground color is white to reveal. My brush size happens to be about the right size for this pupil here. And I can see that it's soft when I click on this. See how hardness is 0. I want it real soft for the eye, and 13 seems to be about the right size. So that's good. I can press enter. And I'm just going to do this. And what I've done now is made, right, I've painted a little white spot on that mask. And it'll be obvious when I go, I click on the hue saturation adjustment thumbnail right here. And now let's see what we do. See, any change I make is only shown in that, where that white spot is. So I'm dragging down the red saturation, and I'm going to drag down the lightness. But what's happening, if you see the little white dot right here, it's doing that overall. That actually isn't what I want. So I'm going to click here on the reset. And I'm going to get my finger here. And it turns into a dropper. And when I select this, it will work only on that color in the image. You see how the little white dot on the right-hand side switch to the red crayon. I'll desaturate it a bunch and also drag the lightness down. And so that way it didn't really affect that catch light. It kind of has. Two different ways to do that. And that's what I'm saying here. There might be some additional stuff I do, but you can use the red eye tool on the left, or you can do an adjustment layer, hue saturation, for example, change them that way. This one needs to be way darker. So Command 0 brings it back on screen, right? View, fit on screen, Command 0 or Control 0. Well, I don't know if it's Control 0 on a PC. Maybe it is. Now I've got it started on it. I want to make it even darker. What I just did, I made another adjustment level, or adjustment layer, levels adjustment layer. I clicked on the black and white cookie and then levels. Levels changes the light and dark. And I want to use the same mask because I'm only affecting this eye. I'm going to option, drag that mask up here, replace layer mask, yes. So what I did was this mask that I wanted to copy, I held down the option key and clicked on this layer mask. As I go to move it, it turns into these little arrows here on the right-hand side, and I can drag it up. And it'll say, I let go of my mouse, replace layer mask, yes. And now, I just wanted that to be darker, right, to kind of start to match here. You know, and that's pretty good. Oops. Oh, there's your raster, right? All the little dots. Zoomed in too much. I've now clicked on this mask again, and I want to show you something. I'll turn this viewer on where I can see everything in pink. And I'm going to make the brush much smaller, like, I don't know, 3? Yeah, 3 is fine. And now I want black. I want to cover up that catch light in the eye so that it's not affected by this levels change. And I'm going to click on option again now on the levels mask and click and hold it and drag it down here to hue saturation. In hopes of well, you know, how about this then? Anyway, I'm getting too precious about that. I'm going to call it done. That's done enough, all right? So that's, That's the red eye and how I would do that. You can also use curves to adjust the color tones. Um, and what that means, that's another one of these adjustment layers, right? It's a little dark. Her eyes were opened up as if she was in the dark. So I'm going to use the curves adjustment this time, which I'm going to go to layer, new adjustment layer. You see how it says new layer. It says new fill layer, and it says new adjustment layer. These two are the same as down here on the black and white cookie, right? There's levels. Down here, the solid color and gradients. Layer, right? New fill layer, solid color gradient, new adjustment layer, curves. Call it curves. And I'm going to let this change show over the whole image. Right here, I'm going to click auto and see what the computer wants. That's pretty good. Normally, I like to make an S curve. Right, I don't spend a lot of time with that kind of middle change. I like to kind of do it like this. All right. I like to click the auto tool because it gives me a good starting point. And so there's where we start at. This is what auto wants. And I'm going to move this up here and this down here, right? I want those blacks to hang on, the darks. I feel like a lot of times the computer wants to make it a little more gray than than my tastes align with. And I don't know if you could see that this crosshair here. See how I'm kind of moving this, the high level of the curves, the lights, into where it starts to intersect the histogram. And then on the blacks, I usually use the edge of the closest edge of the histogram, somewhere in this realm, and just connect my dot there. And that's like my starting point. So I've turned off and on. That's pretty nice. You can also, I'm actually going to copy this layer here, the background layer. So I'll click and hold it, drag it down onto the plus sign. I'll double click this and call it working because I'm about to make changes to the face and I don't want to damage Photoshop is non-destructive. That's what layers are for, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to click on filter and then liquify. This one's pretty neat. Well, I haven't flattened the image, so we're still seeing right. Let me explain that. Right, if I turn off these changes, I haven't actually made a change to this base layer, right? These are adjustment layers, so this is part of that non-destructive way that Photoshop works. So that's why this will look that way. So I'm going to go filter, liquify, and we can make changes to her face, such as, right, smile. I'm just going to drag this up, frown, smile. She'll be happier. You can make eyes bigger or smaller. When this chain is attached, they become bigger and smaller together. And you want to be sensitive. You don't want to make any super drastic changes to people's faces. We've given her a little smile. Right, you can change face width. A lot of things you can do here in this liquify panel. So you can go ahead and just mess with that as you like. I've just given her a little smile, and I guess We can click on the preview button to change, to see how it looks. Right, try to be subtle. You can click reset, like I just was not doing. I've reset everything. I just said I was going to give her a little more smile. I click OK. And so now, right, I have this working layer I made off. That's the liquify filter. You know, you can kind of see, right, this is the before, and I click the eyeball to make the change visible. Right, you see how the it kind of is mooshed around here? A lot more resolution before we get here. It looks kind of squished, mooshed. All right, but that's that. That's how that looks. You know, let's see, on another adjustment layer, I'm going to do another overall adjustment layer on levels. And what I want to do here is click on this middle gray dropper. And it says, what's a neutral color in here? And I'm going to see what that does to this wall. Yeah, see how much it warmed it up? Because I think it was balancing on these reflections here. It makes it a lot bluer. You can change the overall color cast depending on what Photoshop thinks gray is. Right, so no real change there. If I tell it what black is, it'll make some changes. That looks nice. If I tell it what white is, right, it was already balancing for white on these. I don't know, you know, this too orange. Yeah, if you find the right spot, see, I think it gives it more life. But I don't think that specific change is the one that I want. Ooh, I'm having too much fun. I gotta stop. What if this wall was white? No. There, we'll go with that. So that's kind of determining the white balance. What is white in this picture? What is black? Then the level of light, you know, we can drag this in and make the whole thing lighter, right? This here is the white point, and see how there's a little spike here? That's this pure white in these reflections. And there's a lot of dark in the picture because of her dark hair. I'm just going to move this down here a little bit. Right, I don't want it to get so light that I start to lose texture in her face. So we'll say that's good. All right, Command 0. All right, so I've gone from, this is the original, to this. With my working layer and 1, 2, 3, 4 other layers. And the red eye tool. So here I can choose File, Export, Export As. I'll save it as a JPEG, maximum quality, and choose Export. Yes, JPEGs lose information. Okay. And I'll just call it Parker, right? So I can submit that on Blackboard. Now, what do we got next? I'm still talking. I'm trying to think of what else I want to do here. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, so turn me on, turn my cut. So, you know, I kind of got wrapped up in adjusting this image here, but I think it, you know, covered some of those basic concepts of quick fixes to images. I'm actually going to leave you all to try out the iris blur and panorama steps on your own. But right, that's how we do any of these changes is adjustment layers, masks, and selections. Right, so just go through these steps. Um, and well, I have save your final file as a PDF, which you can also do. File, save as. Okay, I won't save it as a JPEG. Format, Photoshop PDF. And I'll name it Parker PDF. Save. Right, that's saved to my desktop. Okay. Save save PDF. All of this is fine. If you want to save a little file size space, you can bump up the compatibility to a more modern version of Acrobat. Save PDF. You don't need to preserve Photoshop editing capabilities, so I'm going to click no here and uncheck that option. Now I'll click Save PDF. Now the PDF is saved. And if I've still got my browser open, let's see. I'm already signed in to the Atlanta Tech stuff. Sorry, I looked at my other screen. I click to get in my courses. I click on our course, right? Raster Imaging. And I come on down to Unit 5, Quick Fixes, where we are, Tutorial 4. View instructions, right? I'm gonna let y'all do eGrid and the other one on your own. I've got this YouTube video here you can check out that goes over those things. And I'm just gonna take my Red Eye Parker file, drop it right there. All good, save. If I've asked you to write something about it, which I don't in the tutorials, but if I had, you could say, these are my notes. And then it's saving, and I choose submit late. It's okay to submit late. I cannot grade work that I don't have, so go ahead and submit it, even if it's late, please. Submit. Your submission was successful. All right. So that is what I wanted to talk with you about today. Thank you for your attention, and I will see you soon.